Deryck Shaw is the president of New Zealand Football. I spoke to him just before we came on air this evening and asked him if he would resign.
The board has met today and is received a report and is fully committed to adopting the recommendations in the report. So the board's made that commitment. And it's really up to the membership of New Zealand Football in terms of the board's long-term future. But in the meantime, we've got a job to do, and we see that as really the key focus right now.
OK, you see there's a job to do. What the report is saying is that a job was not done. There are calls out there today for you to resign. Why won't you resign?
That's really a matter for the members of New Zealand Football to take that decision. I've made a personal commitment to implement the findings of the review. I think that's sort of critical, and that's the commitment of the board. If the membership of New Zealand Football want us to step down, I think that's appropriate. But I think in the meantime, the feedback I've had from the members of New Zealand Football is there's a job to do, and we expect you to do it. You've set up the review. We agreed to terms of reference for the PFA, and we committed to the review, and we've committed to its findings.
Deryck,
and so we should continue to move on that basis.
Now, Deryck, there's been a lot of attention around the former Football Ferns coach Andreas Heraf, and there are findings that he harassed and bullied players. However, in terms of the full context of the report, that's only a small part. The great bulk, the meat in this report is a damning assessment on the way that New Zealand football has been run. Surely you need to take responsibility for this.
We have taken responsibility, and we're certainly looking at the role of the board and the relative committees that sit there. Obviously, HR has been an area that we've been forward in terms of policies and processes. That's really evident around the recruitment activity. There's work to be done around diversity and inclusion. We've had matters, I guess, around the pathways and development of our national coaches, so they're all sort of critical. I think, certainly, from our perspective, we've apologised to the Ferns. We've recognised and supported those people that have come forward.
I'll take you up on that, Deryck, because you said you've supported those who've come forward. This report, released today, says very clearly that after the Spain tour, a member of staff wanted a full review into that tour. That review did not happen, and the staff member resigned, and in their exit interview said, "This is why I'm resigning, because action is not taken. You are ignoring the complaints." So that's false. You're saying you've listened to complaints, that's the very subject matter of this report, that those complaints were not listened to. Have you let down your players and the other administrators involved in New Zealand football?
That complaint didn't come to the board. It went through to management. So the board had no visibility at that point on that process. And we've certainly, that's an area that we're focusing on in terms of our tour reports. The Exco now has quite a strong risk management process around tours going out, but we haven't had good reporting processes on tours coming back.
Well, there's a very clear culture problem here, Deryck. Very clear culture issue that comes through this report. How can you change course now without a clear out of the board? That's what's been called for. The board also is responsible for recruitment, and we've had calls from Sam Malcolmson, former All-White, saying that this recruitment has been a problem for many, many years, not just right now in terms of Andreas Heraf and others. So how can you change a culture if really it's a status quo in terms of personnel running and running the ship?
No, it's not. It's not actually in terms of people managing the business. Two key people in the organisation have gone. We've got an interim chief executive. We've got quite different processes sitting around panels and recruitment. In fact, we're in the process of recruiting a Ferns coach right now. We've got a very experienced panel that are oversighting that, and also the Exco will be providing sign-off on that appointment. So those are things that haven't necessarily happened through the management processes in the past period.
Deryck, the report says that New Zealand football is a boys' club, and there's banter that amounts to harassment. Do you agree with that?
I think the report speaks for itself around that. We've certainly moved to adopt the recommendations.
So you agree that it's a boys' club?
Well, I can't comment. That's a matter for the reviewer. She's found that, and we've said on that basis, then we.
But do you agree with it? It's pretty simple to say whether you agree with it or not. It's been found that it's a boys' club. Is that true or false?
Yeah, that's her findings. I'm just accepting her findings because we didn't conduct the review. The reviewer has done the review. It was an independent process. So that's her finding.
But you are accepting that?
We're on the basis of that. We are essentially moving around greater focuses, as the reviewer has said, around diversity and inclusion and what we need to do.
That's Deryck Shaw, the president of New Zealand Football. He's saying he's staying put amid calls for him to resign. He did concede in that interview that it would be appropriate if New Zealand Football called for him and the board to stand down to do so. We will be getting you the very latest on this in the next day or so.